There it is.
Is my screen visible?
It's working. It's working
Yeah,
fine. Perfect.
Yeah, great. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me, and thanks for the organizers for having a community conference like this. It's amazing. I'm before I started, I would like to quickly introduce myself. I'm Mohamed Ashiq Faleel. I live in Stockholm, working for Fujitsu as a solution architect. As Tanya has mentioned, I've been with Microsoft Tech Stack for 15 years. And for the last 10 years, I was predominantly working with Microsoft Power Platform. And recently, I've been working a lot with Microsoft Copilot Studio. So building agents, these MCP servers for customers. So you have my LinkedIn QR code here, so you can connect with me if you haven't connected. I'm also a Microsoft MVP for business applications, uh, and my today's topic is going to be you can do a lot with Microsoft Copilot Studio and how we can extend the functionality of Copilot Studio by using MCP servers, so which can do document intelligence. Okay, so as you know, many of you would have worked with documents. There are various users who's been working with documents on their day-to-day life, like payslips, contracts, like a lot of documents, like receipts, and so. And let's see how we can bring in an agent which can which can actually process these documents automatically, right? With the help of an agent using an MCP extended with MCP server. Right. So I will quickly start with the challenge. Right. So why I have built this, and what is the need of building this MCP server, and also the solution, followed with how the solution architecture and design of the solution is looking like, and what are the key capabilities it can solve, right, and key capabilities of the solution, and what is the real world impact. And then we'll have a short demo of the agent, which has been already connected to the MCP server. We can have a quick look at it, and also I'll be showing the walkthrough of the code, which is done in C#. Okay, so documents. Well, the first I'll start with a problem statement. So documents has a lot of critical business data. So be it payslips or invoices or receipts or contracts, and most of the users has been processing these documents manually, right, and which takes in a lot of time. So when we process documents manually, it is not just it takes in a lot of time, and there are a lot of chances of making some errors, right? And what so in the current era where there are like a lot of digital documents, and so there is a need of having an intelligent automation which can extract the data from the documents and verify the information or validate information, whatever whatever information is there on the documents are authentic. And then so we can easily fetch in documents from different sources like SharePoint or through an external API, and so but what we get out of by calling that API is just text. So we need more than the text, like intelligent analysis. So that is why, and that is how the MCP matters, MCP server model context protocol matters, which can combine which has a way to easily connect to external tools with the power of large language model and AI intelligence, right? So it is a standardized protocol which Anthropic has gotten, uh, and it can easily talk to the external sources, whatever external sources we have to connect. It would be able to easily connect and make intelligent decisions with large language models. Right, so on a very high level, this is the solution architecture looks like. So what I'm going to show a demo on. So what we have on the on the left side is a Copilot Studio agent, so which is created on a Power Platform environment, right? And it has its own large language model, GPT-4 or GPT-5. You can use whatever a large language model it has. Right on the right side, you see the MCP server, so which has been hosted in Microsoft Azure web application. Right, so it has Azure App Service Plan, and that is where the MCP server has been hosted. And you can see in between there is a custom connector, so which bridges the Copilot Studio agent and the MCP server, which is hosted in Microsoft Azure. Yeah, right. So here in here for example or for this demo, I have used a document source which has pay slips. So the pay slips are I have a couple of pay slips with some metadata which I have stored in Azure storage. So I will before I show the demo, I will quickly show some documents which have stored in Azure storage. And here I have used Azure Document Intelligence. So what it can actually do is to extract the content of whatever information the user has been asking from the Copilot Studio agent. So here in this case, we are connecting to the Azure storage. So that is the first step. And then the Azure Document Intelligence, it's going to extract the information which is there in those documents, right? There are pre-built OCR capable models, which is already there, right? So what you have to do is to just create Azure Document Intelligence and use its connection string in the code. That is what I have done. And then I have used Microsoft AI Foundry, right? So I have used this model GPT Nano, and the reason why I have used this model is to analyze if a document is if a document is authentic, right? So when it comes to dealing with documents, right? So there can be like authentic documents. There also can be like fraudulent or fake documents. So we have used a model in here, the GPT Nano, so which can which can identify if the document is real or fake. Yeah, right. And you can also use Azure Key Vault as we are dealing with different like the data sources. You know, if your data source has gotten like keys which you needed API keys also or OAuth authentication, we can store them in Azure Key Vault, and likewise with the other connection strings. Right, and there is also this log analytics workspace and application insights where you can keep logging. Yeah, right. So here you can host the Copilot Studio agent in Microsoft Teams, which is like which can be done quickly from the Copilot Studio agent portal, creator portal. Right. So here I will just explain what happens when a user types in a prompt in the Copilot Studio agent, so how the data flow looks like. So the user starts with a query, right, in the Copilot Studio agent. So let's say the user asks here to get in the salary information of the user, right? So that is like the first step. That is what the user does and as a enters as a prompt in the Copilot Studio agent chat interface. And then the second one, there is a built-in feature within the Copilot Studio agent called as NLU, Natural Language Understanding. It will understand what the user has wrote, right? And then it's going to create the search query. And based on the understanding of the NLU, it's going to decide where it should connect, right? So here in this case, when a user asks what is the salary of the user for the specific month, then what it's going to do is to connect. It knows that it has to connect to the MCP server, so which has the capability of connecting to the the data source and fetch in the salary information, right? And then here, that is what is going to happen. That is number 3, right? It's going to retrieve, it's going to connect to the MCP server. It's going to retrieve the payslip of that user, and then it's going to get that data back, right? And number 4, what happens is it's going to call the pre-built right, or the large language models, which is part of the Copilot Studio agent. It's going to call that one with the data what it has retrieved from the step number 3, plus whatever the user has asked, right? The prompt or whatever information the user is expecting, right? It's going to give that back, and then it's going to connect to the large language models, which is part of the Copilot Studio, and it's going to respond back with answer, which is going to be returned to the user, right? So this is how the data flow is going to look like in any Copilot Studio agent. Right, so here I have listed some the capabilities of the solution, what I'm going to demo, right? So here, so when it comes to documents, right, so there can be like multi-page documents, right? So and the documents can be of different formats, like PDF, images, or that can be even documents where a user has taken a picture, right, or scanned documents, right? So here the solution can also extract information from text readable documents, or if the document is an image, it can extract information from an image, right? So if an image has got on a table, right, it can extract information, right? So it can extract different types of information using the OCI capabilities, which is part of the document Azure Document Intelligence, right? And all of them is done in real time. Right, so when a user asks a question in the agent interface, it's going to connect to the Azure storage account where the payslips are stored, right? And then it's going to analyze Azure Document Intelligence is going to extract the information from the payslip, and so everything happens real time. Right, so here one other feature which I already mentioned back earlier is the payslip analyzer, right? So here is where it can confirm if the payslip is authentic, right? If it is real or if it is fake, right? So here I have used AI some prompts to the GPT Nano, so where it's going to check if the payslip are authentic based on what we have written. Right, it can flag suspicious document, and also the solution is capable of processing multiple documents. Right, so what is the business value, right? So the first one is when we use an AI solution like this to process documents, right? So it reduces a lot of time, right? So and plus it can have a higher accuracy, right? So it can, when compared with a review which is done by humans, because there are chances of missing something while validating or looking at documents, right? So it is scalable, right? So you can handle thousands of documents, right? So there shouldn't be any problems. So provided you have the Azure resources, and so which can scale to higher tiers when there is demand, right? And it is a secure solution, right? And Copilot Studio agent itself is authenticated against the user's intra login ID, right? So you can, it is secure. And also when it comes to the MCP server, right? So you can secure the MCP server with the intra ID. Yeah, right. So when it comes to the use cases, right, so we can have it for the HR department, which can validate pay slips, or processing, and then processing them, right? So it can be used in the recruitment team. So whenever they receive documents or resumes, and so we can use this sort of solution to validate the documents, right? So, and then financial services, for example, if for in banking industry, you can of course use it when they receive a loan application, right? So when a bank receives a loan application, there'll be like a lot of documents which is usually requested, right? And it's going to be hard, and it takes in which and taking a lot of time to process all of these documents manually. Yeah, right. So we can use these type of solution to validate and process documents, right? And also when it comes to HR department, they'll also be using like reimbursement against receipts. So we can also cross validate, right, with the data entered against the receipt using this sort of solution. And it also has the audit, what has been done when and by whom. Uh, okay, so I will now quickly give a demo of the solution what I have got, and then I will show a code walkthrough. Right, so here this is the agent. It is a very simple agent. The only thing what it has, it is connected to an MCP server. So nothing else. The agent here, the Copilot Studio agent here, it does the high level orchestration. So which is gonna send it to the MCP server. So whatever the user has prompted, it's going to get it, analyze it, and it's going to send it back to the MCP server. Is what all the agent does. You can extend this by adding instructions, to the type of responses, how you want your responses to be tuned, and so I have here, right, so Azure storage account, which has a couple of payslips what I have stored. So here, in this example, for this demo, instead of an actual data source, right? So where usually the payslips are found, payslip or any documents like contracts or so, where it'll be stored in a different setup. So here, just to replicate that, I have stored some payslips in Azure storage account, right? So here I have some metadata for the payslips, so which I have put in here, right? So for the main metadata which I will use in the prompt is the employee ID, right? So what is my employee ID and what is the name of the employee, right? And to which month it belongs to. So those information are inside the payslip, right? And likewise, I'll quickly show one of the payslips what I have gotten here. Yeah, so this is one such payslip, right? So which has information on when a user has joined, right? So what is the pay, right? And what are the deductions, and so right. So this is the pay slip for the user, right? And for the month of February 2026, and what is the salary? So let's start with a quick prompt to ask the agent the salary of this user for the month of February, right? So I'm going to go to the agent. So ask, what is the salary of the user with employee number 0993 for the month of February? Right, so here, when I ask it, it automatically knows, right, that the natural language understanding, it knows that it has to fetch the salary for the month of February, right? And it connects to the tool, to a tool which I will be showing in a short while in the MCP server. So it got that salary, right? The net pay for the February for this user for the February is 11,500. So which is what it's shown here, 11,500. It gave a lot of details, more than what we have requested. Right. So let's make in another prompt. So here in this case, you see that what is the salary of the user with employee number. So what happened is, right, the MCP server has different tools which I have listed, right, so which I will show in a while. And one tool here is search files by employee ID. So that is like the first step which it did, right? So it got the employee ID, and then it connected to the MCP server, and then it got the response back, right? So now I'll show you one other payslip, right? So which is, you cannot find any payslip like this. I've just created a simple, basic information in a notepad, and then I've saved it as a payslip, right? And it's for the user Shahid. Right, so let me quickly ask the agent if this payslip is authentic. Right, so let's quickly do that. Can you tell me if the payslip for the user Shahid is authentic? Right, so it's gonna now call two tools, right? So one is, it has to first fetch the payslip based on this metadata, which is right now it's doing. You can see here it is fetching the payslip by name, right? It got the payslip, right? And then it called another tool called as analyze payslip content, right? So here we can see here the document labeled, for Shahid, right, is not authentic. And what is the reasoning behind it is, it doesn't have the earnings breakdown. It doesn't have employer information. There is no net pay calculation, right? So let's ask the previous payslip for this user if it is authentic. Can you tell me if the payslip for the user with employee number 40993 is for the month of Feb is authentic, right? It's gonna now connect and get the payslip with the employee ID, and then it's gonna analyze, analyze if it is authentic, right? So it says that the payslip for the February 2026 for this user is authentic, right? And what are the reasoning behind it, right? So it's going to give back the authenticity based on the analysis which has been done using the model from Microsoft AI Foundry. Right. So now let's quickly. I will show the code walkthrough. Right. So this is the MCP servers code which I have here, where I have used Visual Studio. Right. So Control Shift P, and then right. So here. Right, so it's a server, MCP server, a HTTP based MCP server, which is built using .NET, right? So which can do whatever I've told you before, like it can analyze, document, and it has got few other tools, and one of them is it can tell a joke, right? So a Chuck Norris joke. I will show that in shortly, right? And here this is like the base of the base program.cs, the base code, right? So here it initializes the framework, it gets in all the tools, whatever we have added, which is part of the MCP server, right? So here the first tool, what we have here is, the code what we have here, which is part of the MCP server, is to connect to the Azure storage account, right? To fetch the payslip. And now we have here a tool and named search files by name. So if you have when I was using the agent, right, I've asked to fetch the salary of the user using the name, right? So this is the method which is responsible for. So if you take a tool in an MCP server, so the schema, the schema how a tool in the MCP server would look like is it will have a name, right? So here the name of the tool is search files by name, right? And the description, right? So here this is quite important. Like whatever you wanted this tool is capable of, whatever you have enabled this tool to perform, you'll have to write it here. Right, so here we have written search for files by employee name in Azure storage and returns their downloaded URL. Right, so this is quite important, and that is how the Copilot Studio agent will know that based on the prompt we write in the agent, it knows that it has to connect to the specific tool. Right, and then we have another tool, right? So you have if in the demo, I've also searched using the employee ID, right? So here, this is that other tool what we have, right? And description, it says that employee ID, and so right. And the next one is analyzing payslip content, right? So this is for the prompt where we have asked the agent if a document is authentic, if a payslip is authentic, right? So this is what it's responsible for. Here it says that the description, one of the description is pre-extracted payslip content, right? So to use this tool, the other tool like fetching a search by employee ID or search payslip by name should have already run, right? So that is what we have given some instructions here that the other two should have run, right? So the Copilot Studio is automatically will take care of that based on what you actually want. Right, so here the next one is actually the prompt, right? So when I asked if the payslip is authentic or not, so how it is done here is, so a prompt is given, right? So you are a payslip fraud detection specialist with payroll, and so this is where I've used Azure, Microsoft AI Foundry GPT Nano model, right? So here it does, right? So it analyzes the payslip content, and what it should look for. Right, I've given some examples, and so it's a typical prompt which you give as an instruction in the Copilot Studio agent is what I have given here. All right, so now, yeah, the code is done. Let's quickly now run this MCP server locally. Right, so let's, I will first do that, and I will show you, like, accessing the server endpoints using Postman. So what I'm going to do is, I've used GitHub Copilot a lot to build, to write the code. Whatever code you're seeing here, and most of it are done using GitHub Copilot, Copilot. And I've been using like Cloud Haiku 4.5, so that is like more than enough for writing the code. Right, so I'm now gonna deploy it. Right, so run it locally. So I've got a PowerShell script which can enable this MCP server to run it locally. Yeah, so now the server is running locally, and let's quickly test it. Right, so it's running on this port localhost. Let's quickly make a call. So this is like the base endpoint, I would say, like MCP. So here you can see in the response the different tools which you have registered part of that MCP server, right? So it has search file by employee ID, and it has analyze payslip content, and it has search files by name. So whatever we have seen in the code, you will see all the tools which you have listed there is going to be seen here, right? And now let's quickly do test the endpoint for connecting for connecting to the Azure storage and get the get the pay slips, right? So here I have this a code the body, but the JSON, so which has the tool which it should connect, right? And also the employee ID for where it should fetch. Right, it's going to connect now, and it's going to get the payslip for this user with the employee ID, right? So I have passed that information as an argument here. So here you can see there are 3 files which is found for this user with employee ID 240993, right? And what are those URLs, right? So you see all of these information, right? And these information is what which is used by the other tool to analyze the payslip content if there is a prompt like that. Right, and I'm going to show you one other thing. So what you have, well, what you see right now in the Visual Studio Code is an MCP server which is running locally, right? So, and also in the demo from the Copilot Studio agents, I have the code in the MCP server code which I've shown in the VS Code is deployed to the Azure App Service Plan, right? Azure website has been deployed, right? So let's say you want to first test it in Copilot Studio Agent, so before you want to deploy it to Azure, right? So you can easily do that in Azure in VS Code, and what you have to do is to go to ports, right? In this panel here, in the panel what I have here, and then click on forward port. Right, so as this MCP server now is running locally on a 5000 port, right? So I will do that, right? So once it has been done, right? So as you want to test this in the Copilot Studio agent, so what you could do is right click, and then change the port visibility from private to public, right? So once you have done it, you would then be able to add it in the Copilot Studio agent, right? So let's quickly get the URL, right? So copy this. I'm copying this URL and going to Postman again, right? So here, so this is the URL what I have copied, right? So now if you test it, now this is a publicly accessible URL, right? So there is no authentication. It is anonymous as of now. You make a post call, and then you get what you were getting when you were making a call when it was localhost, right? So I get all the tools now. So now this URL, you can straightly take it to Copilot Studio agent. Right, so let's go to the Copilot Studio agent and then go to tools, right, and click on add a tool, right, and then model context protocol. So click on this one, and here you can see you can say whatever you want, MCP server document analysis. This, and then you can write some description. This server is responsible for analyzing documents, right? And then you have to give the URL here, right? So this is what you have to do. Just copy it and put it, right? And then click on create. Right, as there is no authentication as of now, you can create, and what it's going to do is after you click on this button, it's going to create a custom connector automatically behind the scenes, so which is what is now connecting or the bridge between the MCP, the Azure, the Copilot Studio and the MCP server, right? So that the custom connector is the bridge. It's going to automatically create that. You don't have to do anything to do it. Just click on create. It's going to happen. I'm not going to do that right now. I will now show the MCP server what I have already added, but this server is added, added to the Azure web app, right? So I've already hosted the VS Code from which is from the Azure web app, right? But for you to test it, whatever I've done before by forwarding a port in Visual Studio Code, you can take that and then you can add it and start testing it. So let's quickly look at the MCP server. Right, so here you can see the different tools. So whatever tools we have enabled it in the VS Code is what you are looking at here, like the search files by employee ID, analyze payslip content by name, right? And also it can tell a joke, right? Chuck Norris joke, right? So these are the different tools which is available, right? So you can enable them one or the other, or you can enable all together, like all the tools. You can do it by using this toggle. You can also see the description here for each of these tools. So these descriptions for these tools are taken from the code, right? So whatever I was showing you in VS Code is what you see it here. Right, and then there is nothing more on this MCP server here. Now I'd like to quickly connect, show you the custom connector, right? So as you see that we have created the Copilot Studio agent in the environment, the playground demo, right? So you go here. Right, and to the Power Apps, make.powerapps.com or make.powerautomate.com, and then you select environment and you go to custom connector, and you see this custom connector, right? So you can see the definitions to what is the host, right? So as I've said, the MCP server is already hosted in Azure, right? So you can see that you can see the URL here. Right, and it is anonymous, right? So when it's a production solution, definitely the MCP server will not be anonymous. You'll have to enable enter ID, right? So I've written a couple of blog posts on it, right? So we're using delegated authentication or application authentication, right? So you can look at it. I've added as resources in this presentation as well. right? And when it comes to the definitions, it has only one action, which is invoke server. So we did not do anything here. So what we all did is from the Copilot Studio agent interface, we have given the basic information, the URL and the MCP server name, and the custom connector created automatically, right? So I just wanted to show you the custom connector. Right now, let's quickly look at the different resources. So what I have right in Azure, it's a portal at azure.com. Okay, so these are the different resources I have, right? And then the first one is, we have Microsoft AI Foundry project, right? And this is where I have deployed a model for authenticating a payslip, right? And then the app service plan, and this is where the MCP server is deployed, right? And then a document intelligence instance, right? So that is for the OCR capabilities to extract content from a document. And then we have a storage account, right, for storing the payslips. And then we have the app service, the actual website where the MCP server is hosted. Right, so these are the resources which I have used for the solution, right? And I have deployed the code, right, in GitHub. It is available in GitHub, right? So you can take a look at it, right? It also has instructions, the PowerShell script on how you can run this code, right? And whatever I've shown you to to test it locally or to deploy it to Azure, and all of them are documented here, right? And I have these blogs which I have written. If you want to have your the MCP server secured with Entra ID, as you have seen that the server itself is not secured. What I've shown you is anonymous, right? But you can secure it with Entra ID authentication. So I have written blogs on how to do that, right? And what are the different steps you have to take in. That is already also there. And I would like to quickly talk about one of the solution which I have recently done as a POC for a public sector client in Sweden. And we have created a solution which helps to let the rent for apartments, right? So to let here there are agencies available here which is responsible for letting apartments to rent, and there are like 1,000+ apartments, right? When it comes to the demand for those 1,000 apartments is like huge, right? So there are like 60,000 applications which the agency receives. Right, and when a user, when an applicant applies for an apartment, they submit in a lot of documents, right? So like pay slips and contract, right? And then there are a lot of other documents which the user would upload, right, for during the application process, right? And when it comes to the agency worker, or the case handler, analyzing or looking at all of these documents, it takes like an hour to complete for one application, right? At the end, what they would have is if the applicant is can be given and a go ahead to rent the apartment, yes or no, or if it's a yes, like what is the maximum rent the user can afford, right? So considering whatever other expenses the user may have, right, the applicant may have for a month, right? So this is still at the POC stage, but it's a very good use case which we have done. That the solution for that is quite similar to what I have shown you. So we have used an MCP server. The Copilot Studio agent is the front-facing agent, which is added in Microsoft Teams. Right, and we have used Azure Document Intelligence, and so right. And one more thing which I would like to show is right. So when it comes to the document intelligence, right, so which is responsible for extracting content from a payslip using these OCR capabilities. I've used the pre-built models, right? So pre-built read is what I have used, right? The OCR read. But let's say you want to have a custom trained, right? So based on your documents or your type of the documents the businesses has, right? So you can also create a custom extraction model, which can be trained based on based on your documents, right? So what is you can train it, train the model, what is with real documents and with some fake documents, and so right. So this is also something which you can use, right? And yeah, this is what I have got, and these are some resources. I have whatever I've shown you, the GitHub, right, and then my blogs.
Can
which
you
which
share
I
the
have here.
links within the chat? Can you just copy and paste them? That would be great.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
people
absolutely.
can
I would
just
do that.
click
I
past
would
them.
do that. Yeah, sure. And let's look if there are.
We have some questions actually.
Yeah.
So one of the questions was, you're saving it in Azure storage. Why not use SharePoint, which is normally the default storage for company data?
Yeah, absolutely. So it can definitely be done, right? So I have taken Azure storage as an example, right? So you can use whatever the source can be, right? So it can be SharePoint, or it can be Dataverse, right? So wherever the company has stored documents like payslips or contracts or so.
Perfect. Thank you so much. And I don't know if you've shown it afterwards, but the question for 30 minutes ago was, you have no instructions in the agent, where the
Yeah.
agent is getting the instructions. Where do the instructions come
Absolutely. So right now there is no instructions right in the agent what I have given. So the Copilot Studio agent, it does only the high level orchestration. So based on what the user has wrote, it just connects to the different tools in the MCP server. So that is what it does, right? But if you wanted the response, whatever now is generating to be in a structured format, right? So then you can use instruction in the Copilot Studio agent, right? So I haven't used it, but it can be used.
Okay, great. I don't know if there's another question. Have you connected the agent to a Teams channel? If yes, how? I think someone already gave the answer to use the channel function in Copilot Studio.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. So absolutely. Right. So you can, when it comes to deploying the agent from Copilot Studio agent to Teams, it's quite straightforward, right? So from the channel function, you can easily do it, right? But it depends on how the security and the governance set up in your company, right? So, but it can be done easily, right? So if you may be needing some help from Teams admin to deploy your agent, right? And here in this case, I haven't used any features of Copilot Studio agent itself, other than just orchestrating it to MCP, right? You can instead of Copilot Studio agent, so you can also create a Microsoft Foundry agent, right? And from there you can easily deploy it and make it available to teams, right? So the Microsoft AI Foundry team has made that very easy now.
Yeah, great. Other questions? Someone's asking for the link to the repo. I guess you will share that.
Absolutely.
Perfect. And I think there were no more questions left. You did an awesome job. Thank you so much. Give a short applause, everyone.
Thank you so much. And thanks for all your time. And feel free to connect with me in LinkedIn. So if you have got any questions when you try this out, I can help you out.
Perfect. I already shared your LinkedIn link within the chat. Perfect. And someone again asked for the links to the GitHub repo again.
I'll do that right after. Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, forgetting that.
Yeah,
Perfect.
sure.
I will share my screen again with you folks.